Merry New Year. Merry New Year, ladies and gentlemen. The first show of 2025 is here. Now, I'm going to be honest, I wasn't sure if they're going to make a new show. Well, technically, this is from last year. This was around somewhere in December. But I wasn't sure if they had anything planned until their first showing of their first live Impact. I was not sure if they had anything recorded. So for me, I was not sure if this was even going to happen. But I'm glad it was. And I want to make this very clear. Was the show good? It was okay. It was good for what it was. We got good camera work. We got good lighting. We got good audio. We got some in-ring segments. Admittedly, there was one thing I was not fond of. I'm sure people will say, well, that's just a nitpick. Well, I'm just being honest here. I'm not fond of what they did by showing old footage again, a moment of Impact or TNA. A moment of TNA, I think they shouldn't have shown it, but I can understand why people wanted it. I am mentioning it now because I'm not going to mention in my review that when you see the tag match that was in the six-sided ring, it was a six-sided ring match. For me personally, I don't want to see it. I want to see something new. Now, mind you, I understand why they wanted to do it. Look, it's Sportsnet. They got their first show on 360. I believe this was the first show at 360. They got it. It had to be. So maybe they wanted to mention a couple of things ahead of time just in case no one knew, which would be kind of surprising because it was Canada and TNA was known in Canada. But you never know. Let's start. We got Rhino versus Ryan Nemeth. Now, in the opening of the show, we got Joe Henry coming out. He wanted to make it very clear that he's been on track for 10 years. Now 11. Well, actually, he started in 2013. It's been 12 years for him. 12. Let's say 12. But let's make it very, 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 very clear. He is over. He is over. There's no problem with Joe. He is over. And I'm glad about that because he's been well built. Seeing Ryan come out and saying that he's a snake is not too surprising from Ryan. Now, when we see the match between him and Rhino, where he wants to beat the legend, TNA legend, and Rhino, he really tried hard to put over Rhino. Did it sound disingenuous? Yes. But when you look at the match, he did get the win, even though it was a DQ, because Rhino hit him in the back with a chair that he brought in himself. And that's not Rhino, it was Ryan. Was the segment with his brother, because let's do that now. Nick talking about what happened somewhat when it came to Joe Henry, but he also put him over a lot, even though he says he's got to kick his ass, he does respect him. And Ryan making it very clear that he can't be trusted, he's a snake. Did it sound really annoying? Yes. But I think that's what he was going for, because I've seen Ryan, he can talk decently well. But let's make this very clear. Do I believe that this tag match next week is going to mean anything? It's more about Nick and it's about really about Joe. That's it. When it comes to Rhino and it comes to Ryan, they're just an afterthought. But it is a structure that we're getting before Genesis, which I say again, I want to make this clear. We are getting a show here. When last year we got nothing but repeats. This is a real show. We are getting it. I'm fine with it. Next. We got Ace Austin versus Kushida. Now, here's the thing. It was a good match between him and Kushida. And his talk, sorry, my slippers were loose. His talk about, it hurts me still that Chris Bay is not there. I'm just glad that he's all right. And I hope he does do a full recovery and can recover. Could he come back to work again? I personally don't care. I know many would say, let's have him come back. No. If he can be good, walk down the street, could pick up a child that could be his own, and live a normal life, that means more to me than him ever wrestling again. I don't give a blue fuck if he ever wrestles again. I'm sorry. I'm saying it now, like Big E Langston, Big E. When it came to the New Day, when he landed square in his head, only thing that really mattered was that he was able to recover and he could have a quality of life. And look what he's had. He's had a good quality of life. He's got a new job, and he could come back in the ring because of what's been going on with New Day. Maybe. That's all I want for Chris. If Chris never wrestles again, as long as he has a good quality of life, he can walk, he can run, he can gently lift up a child and exercise and keep himself in good shape and live a quality life, I'm fine with that. And seeing him talk about Chris and talking about when he went to the hospital with him and he held his hand, could that have been real? I think that might have been a real thing that Chris Bay might have said. He might have said that. That might not be a storyline or a work. It may be an actual shoot. Because you never know. Because these guys became really close once they became tag team partners. They love each other like brothers. So he might have said that for real. So, seeing that this was said after the match, and seeing Moose come out after the match, and saying that you want to go after the title because Chris said, it's time for you to go on your title run. Do it for me. And he might have done that. And when you look at him dealing with Moose, and Moose trying to say how stupid Chris Bay was getting hurt, and Ace said, don't you dare, grabs his mic and said, who are you touching? He says, keep Chris Bay out of your damn mouth. Don't you do that shit. And they had to bleep it, which was good. It's good to see they were willing to bleep. And that was a good thing. That is a good thing that they're willing to go a little bit further than they normally could. Well, let me give it to you like this. The reason I botched this is because in 2025, you want to see more out of TNA. I have been critical than anyone. I don't know if anybody's been as critical as me. And believe me, I have been. And I'm not going to stop being critical when they do something wrong. But when they do something right, I'm going to say it. Seeing that Ace was cursing, that was good. His friend, who he wrestled with, he actually loves like family, is been out for 3 months with his broken neck, and hopefully he will do a full recovery. In the meantime, gotta do something with him, and because of what's going on in real life, could help him push forward and also help TNA with a good storyline that could really mean something to a lot of people. That's just me. This is how I feel. But knowing that he wanted to go after the world title, and now he's going after the X Division title. Now, mind you, you're going to say, dude, I hate this. Why is he got to go after the X Division? Let him go after the world. He still can through Option C. Who said Option C is gone? Option C could still be an option. You may not get it around Slammiversary, or maybe it might be done earlier than that. But he may get an Option C possibility. So I'll leave it at that. Next. Let me give it to you like this. And this is the thing. When you see Eric Young, you see Jonathan Gresham, and you see Macklin working together as a team. It's good to see. And then they attack a system who screwed them over. I'm going to say this. It's good to see that they did this. It's good to see that they cared enough to do it. I liked it. I know it doesn't mean much because they just beat each other up. But at least you are seeing 3 guys that have not been 100% utilized all the time correctly. Macklin has gotten somewhere but then was dropped because they had to do something with Nick Nimitz. Then you see Eric Young and you had to go through Macklin. You had to go through do I believe the king of TNA, and Frank Kazarian, could be more? Yes. And then Jonathan Gresham himself, the guy that I've always felt they should be doing way more with. At least he is working with Eric and Macklin, and I'm glad to see them do something with him. It's because I've been wanting them to do something with him for a while. Then we get Frank Kazarian dealing with a Leon Slater. Do I believe there's something there? Yes. Do I believe they'll do something with Leon Slater? I don't know. I am hoping they will. I am begging they will do something with Leon Slater because they need to replace a lot of these guys. Because look what we got in the segment in the ring when it came to the Norman. No. Here's where you get this. I think I wanted to start without Santana Because it's easy to say that I really love what Santana said because, well, guess what? Santana is from New York. He's a New Yorker like me. But I wanted to start with the Northern Armory and what Josh said, which was kind of choppy like myself. Let's make this clear. Are they going to try and use the Northern Army? Josh is possibly leaving because his wife is gone. She did not resign like Kushida has done, like she's done, and now Rhino probably by the next match will be done because his contract is finished unless he resigns like AJ Francis, which I do know. I'm like, you're going to lose about 3 people. Not even talking about the knockouts and Jordan Grace going. And I'll get to her in a minute. But when you see the situation, you wonder, are they going to push a Leon Slater? Are they going to do more with him? Are they going to bring in more people? They need more people. This is one of the major issues with TNA. They don't bring in many people, and other people don't want to sign with them, even though they're doing better. It's either they don't want to sign them for very long, or they don't sign them all, just do tapings. And then there are many people who still don't want to sign with them. They want to stay free agents. And that's a major issue. It really hurts the company. Now, do I believe they can get Santana over, particularly saying, I'm going to whoop your ass, I'm going to whoop your ass, and I'm going to stomp your ass next to pretty much bone-headed bitch of a Josh Alexander, who looks like he's going to put over a possible Santana, possibly. But it's just me. And yes, you're going to say, dude, you're leaving out the part with Santana saying one of the reasons you probably got where you were was because of the guy in the back with the pencil. Yes, I know he's talking about Scott D'Amore. And let's make it very clear, and I've said this myself. I never agree with everything Scott did. I always felt like he pushed Josh Alexander a little too much. Easily too much. And Josh was his favorite. It is obvious he was. Was that the right thing to do? In some cases, throughout the year, yes. In other cases, hell freaking no. And it was wrong that he pushed Josh in other ways. Well, ways where others could have been in that position, I didn't agree with. But I'm not going to say that Scott did 100% a bad job. He did an okay job with a company that was bullshit. But I'm not going to take anything from him. He pulled this bullshit company out of the dirt and managed to get them at least relevant enough that they're doing what they're doing now. You got to say this. I don't care if you hate Scott. I don't care if you love Scott. He did do this. He managed to pull TNA, Impact Wrestling, out of the dirt when nobody wanted to sign with them. Back in 2017. He managed to make them mean relevant. Not a lot, but at least enough that they are where they are today. And I'm still reviewing them. Moving on. The women's 8-man tag. I'm going to say this. It was a fine tag. There was no problem with it. I didn't hate the tag. But I'm going to tell you the truth. Did it mean anything? No. Because this was all about 2 women. That was Jordan Grace and Tessa Blanchard. Because what happened at the end of the match, after the match was over, Tessa came in, started attacking Jordan. They go to the back. Jordan gets beaten down. Then a duffel bag was grabbed by Tessa, wrapped around her neck. She's dragging her down a hill, down a ramp, and leaves her there and then pulls down the gate saying, I'm retaking my roster. Now, I've already stated this in my State of TNA 2024. I am not against Tessa, but I'm not for her either. This is going to depend on how she acts while she's in the company. It makes no difference if you say she needs another chance. Remember, if you do not want to hear it, it's not my problem. Remember, the allegations that came up about her being prejudiced, a bully, racist, how things went bad between her and her husband Daga, how she went through Impact Wrestling, refused to work, stayed in Mexico and was fired, worked in AAA, she divorced her husband, then the controversy between the two, which they probably weren't even with together much, to the point where Conan had to choose, well, yes, she has talent, she seems good, but I care more about Daga than her, bye-bye. And then going to WOW, Women of Wrestling, the moment she signs, Not saying that she was the reason they didn't get anywhere, but the moment she signed, controversy started coming up out of nowhere, and then several months later, no wow, next season. And she went to CMML, became a tag champion. But the minute that they decided, whoever it was in, not TNA, not the president, Anthem, I want to make this clear, the executive, whoever that was in Anthem, signed her and made it very clear to hire her, even with controversy, to the point that the roster do nothing. Nothing. And the roster has been known to have mixed feelings. And again, Jordynne Grace did not want to work with her. But if she is going to WWE, she's going to be a team player and do it even though she does not like her. And yes, I've seen the articles where Jeff Hardy has talked about you should give her a second chance, which I've heard some people gotten up to 12 chances, and she can get a second chance if she even was willing to acknowledge that she did wrong. And I've already heard, she's already talked and said in the roster, you got a problem with me, come confront me, let's talk. And we can resolve it. Not, guys, I screwed up. I was acting like this. I'm sorry. There's a difference between saying I'll resolve things with the people in the roster or say to everyone, even Allison Kay, even the one that you never hear, Chelsea Green, ever say anything about anybody. She even came out saying that she's been rude to people, along with women who came from AAA, CMML, and maybe some that might be over in New Japan, but normally don't talk. They may have said something. Now, I want to say this clearly. Am I against her? No, I'm not. This is about wait and see. Let's see what she's going to do. Is she going to do well in TNA? I don't know. It's going to count on what the reports we're going to get. Is she going to have any friction with anybody in the roster? Is she going to have any friction with production? Is the fans going to get on her nerves and she's going to be rude to fans? Or, and as you already know, even if she signs, she can go to other promotions and work. If she goes to other promotions and acts stupid there, it's going to justify why a lot of people say that she doesn't deserve anything. Or she goes to other promotions, acts respectful, just like in TNA, and she gets exonerated, at least enough that people are willing to work with her. That's what we're going to have to wait and see. So you want her there? Fine. If you don't want her there, fine. But we need to see if she is going to be better. And if anybody says, dude, it's about business, making money, bullshit. If that was true, why so many women don't want to work with her? Sorry. You can say whatever the hell you want. Better. Whatever the fuck you want. If other women wrestlers don't want to work with her because of her attitude and how disrespectful she is, it makes no difference. You want her there. They don't. And that will eventually filter through to the company, and they'll say, okay, this woman is acting really nasty to the women. All the women don't want to work with her now. They don't want to wrestle her now. We have to let her go. But this is just me. And I'm not saying I'm not for her. I'm just not for or against. I'm just waiting and see. Peace.